There's some really, I think, specific skills and learnings from being in-house. Something that became very apparent to me early on is that your clients in an in-house setting don't want to hear a no. You know, it's just not good enough to be asked, can we do this? And be told, here's the 10 reasons why not. You actually are expected to find a pathway to either the intended outcome or something very similar. So if what is the business wants to achieve is roadblocked for whatever reason, you know, you've got to come up with a path through it, not just a no. So I think that's a really important lesson. The other thing is for lawyers to be really cognizant all the time about the risk profile of what they're being asked. So, you know, things that the business doesn't see as a significant risk, that all has to be borne in mind when you're giving advice. You have to put things in context, you know. Again, putting up roadblocks where there might be a risky path, not illegal, risky, is okay if you're in a business where there is an appetite for that risk, and your job in-house is to explain the potential risks and then give the business an opportunity to work with you to find out what risks they're happy to take on and which ones they're just not, rather than again saying, this is the absolute no and this is the only way that we could do this. You know, it's all about finding that middle ground where, you know, I think people forget that you know, we're experts in the law, but our clients are experts in their business, and it's giving them that opportunity to actually be seen to understand the implications, and you've just got to explain it to them and let them work through it with you. Another thing that is really important for in-house lawyers to remember is that if they're not always thinking about the broader business and the strategy of the business, the advice might be wrong. So not technically wrong, but giving advice in a vacuum on a question that is brought to you that doesn't take into account other things that are going on in the organisation can kind of trip you up, especially when you're dealing with a very big business that might have different teams and departments. You know, they don't understand, or they may not be aware of other moving parts in the business, and that's your job to know those things so that you can make sure that there is an overlay of strategy and overall business strategy when you're giving advice. Something else that, you know, is really hard to get out of the habit of when you're a private practice lawyer is ditching the long letters of advice. You know, I get it. I love writing those letters. I think a lot of lawyers really do, because we do find the law and case law really interesting, and that's why we do what we do. But we kind of have to leave those for our internal memos when we're in-house, and that doesn't mean that we're not expected to do that work. I think in-house lawyers and their clients expect that that detailed, in-depth consideration has taken place. It's not to say you lose the opportunity to sit and read cases and write and come to those conclusions, but a really good in-house lawyer keeps that to one side, gives the shot glass, what I like to call the shot glass version of the law, and then moves to options, possibilities, paths forward, you know, considerations, risks, not Lord Denning in, you know, 100 years ago said this. Look, sometimes, you know, there's really interesting cases that clients do love to hear about, but it's important to kind of keep that out. Clients just don't have time to read that, and they're not interested. They just want to know, can we do this? Can't we do this? How do we do it? And then the very last thing I'd say is you'll know when you've made it as a trusted advisor in-house work when you become a drop-in centre for any and all queries, and not just legal queries. You actually want to be a person in the business that is considered to be a strategic mind. That, you know, when people lead into, look, I don't think this is a legal question, but what do you think about this? You can say, okay, I've won the hearts and minds here and I'm getting it. I think that's really, really important. So, you know, not shirking from having those strategic discussions about business issues that might not be strictly legal, because actually that's the best place for an in-house lawyer to be really in the business. Yeah.